Welcome back to TIW on Tap. I am Mason,
I'm Danny.
aka Big Sexy, and we host TIW on Tap, which is this podcast you're watching right now, where we interview locals, musicians, and historians. And this week, we have Adam Diem on the podcast. He runs the Roughneck Gravel Roubaix, sorry. He is an awesome guy, and we had a fantastic chat with him that we are going to get to here in a second in this episode. But first, we wanted to let you guys know what's going on here at the Ironworks this weekend. So, Thursday, we have Lucero playing here at the Ironworks. It is so exciting to have them coming to Titusville, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The whole community is pretty pumped about it, and it'll be a good show. And
it's something, it's pretty special, I think, having a band of that size come through. I never would have expected something like that would come to Titusville, so it is really exciting. There are still tickets available for that show, so you can get them online at TitusvilleIronworks.com, but they will be available at the door if they do not sell out. We will keep everyone updated on that, but it looks like you should maybe be able to get a ticket at the door, but I definitely suggest going on our website and picking them up. And William Anthony is going to be opening that show, so it's going to be really, really fun. And Friday, we have Fred Oakman and the Flood coming through.
Yeah, they start at 7:30 to 10:30.
Yep.
We'll be open at 5. And, that'll be a good show and way to kick off Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, and the weather's looking beautiful, so we'll definitely have the outdoor patio open all weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. Saturday is a huge day here at the Ironworks. And we'll get into the race starts Friday and Saturday, and we'll chat with Adam about that. But Saturday, we have a full lineup of music. Starting at 1, we have Brian Lose, the man from Pittsburgh.
The man, the myth, the legend.
I can't wait. We have Brian a lot this year. It's been awesome. So he's going to be playing 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Then we have Marley Ohl playing, and she is a young, talented guitar player, so that is going to be a lot of fun. I think this is one of her first gigs, so it's cool that she gets to come out. She's going to play from 4:30 to 6:30, and then we have Northern Accents playing Saturday night, so that should be fun.
That's a Tom Petty tribute band, and
yeah,
I can't wait to rock out with those guys. And
it's going to be great. And there is no cover charge, although after 7 o'clock it is going to be 21 plus Saturday night, just so you guys all know that. And of course, Sunday
fun day, baby.
Yeah,
May 26th, we got Vintage Woodfire food truck in, and we also Be the Star karaoke and open mic, so stop on down. Open from 12 to, we say 6, but it usually lasts about 3 more hours longer. So
yeah, as long as people are hanging out, we usually try to stay open for you guys. So yeah, enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going to get right into the show with Adam Diem. All right, everyone. We want to give a huge warm welcome to Adam Diem. We are really, really excited to have him on the show today. Adam, want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey, guys. So, obviously, my name's Adam Diem, like Mason said. Born and raised here in the Titusville area. And moved away for a while, and then decided that Titusville should have a gravel bicycle race. So I think that's what we're here talking about today.
It absolutely is, man.
Yeah,
and,
welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
We are super excited, man. That race is taking place. It starts here this Saturday. It's going to be an early Saturday for us.
It actually starts Friday.
Yes, for the long
so
race.
We added that 250 this year that'll start at 1 o'clock on Friday. So it's going to be a long weekend.
Yes, and we are going to get into the routes and everything today, so I'm really excited to chat about all that. But yeah, man, I'm so excited. It's one of my favorite days of the year having this race start, and it is really fun. There's always a bunch of different people coming in.
Yeah.
And, it's fun to talk to some of those crowds that come in. I'm trying to think where the farthest place was I heard someone come from last year, and I want to say maybe it was Washington.
Yeah, last year we had someone, I don't remember if it was Spokane or Seattle, but yeah, as far west as Washington. This year we're as far north, I think, as Vermont, I saw recently.
That's amazing.
And we recently had some people message us from Canada that are planning to come down for the race. So it's definitely growing.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Great to see. It for sure is growing. I know you had told me earlier before we started recording that you're up to 390.
Yeah, it looks like we set a goal this year of 400 pre-registered participants. We fell a little short of that last night when registration closed at 9 p.m. But with what I'm seeing on the wait list right now, it looks like we'll hit and exceed that number, which is really exciting. And I kind of close registration early. Some races don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
They let it go all the way through event day. I'd close it early to just try and streamline the process. We pack their bags. We have all their swag that they pre-ordered in there. Everything ready to go. All they got to do is show up at the registration table, give us their name, and we look at which number they are, grab their bag, and move it along quick.
Sweet.
So what was the inspiration behind the race? And explain some of your passion and the spirit of the gravel bike races.
Yeah, so, I've been racing for close to 20 plus years now personally. I originally got into it through triathlon and then had an injury where I couldn't run much and started road racing. And the bike was kind of always my strong suit.
Mm-hmm.
And even dating back to when I was a kid, some of my greatest memories as a kid were Sunday mornings. My dad and I would wake up and we would ride the Justice Trail to Oil City, go to Famore's on Sunday, get a cinnamon roll, turn around and come back, and then we'd open the hardware store when my family owned that. And, but then my wife and I moved to Europe and I did some really big events over there. I mean, I'm talking events that bring like the sportif or the amateur version of Paris-Roubaix or Flanders. These events bring 25,000 people from all over Europe and the world.
Wow.
And I did those and I was like, well, these are cool. And then when we moved back from Europe, because we lived there for 5 years, it was like, boom, COVID. And then the first year after kind of everybody was allowed to go out and about again after COVID, I went out and did Garmin Unbound, which is a race out in Emporia, Kansas. And it's a gravel dirt road bicycle race. And I was out there riding and I'm looking around at these dirt roads and these farms and the community that has, a small college in it, like Pitt at Titusville, some eclectic businesses like we have here. Yeah. But other than that, not a ton of industry in that town,
right.
Like they have a rail spur, but there are a lot more livestock and stuff where we've kind of modernized into plastics instead, with companies like Oil Creek. And, I'm riding through there, guys, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, we have this many dirt roads in Titusville.
Yeah.
And I just kind of had this light bulb moment that I was like, wonder if we could do this. So I got home from Kansas and I talked to my wife about it. And she said, well, I guess if you want to try and create an event, have at it.
Yeah.
So then that event was like, it's the weekend right after ours. So it's the first weekend of June traditionally. So it was, I think the end of June, we were here visiting Grandma and Grandpa with the kids. And I scheduled a meeting with Neil and the mayor at the time, John Crouch, and said, hey guys, I kind of like to do this. I kind of pre-planned some routes to show them. And, I told them how big Unbound is, which is, it's 5,000 people a year.
Wow.
And, they do a lottery that you don't know if you're going to get in until they pull the names out of the hat on lottery day.
Wow.
And they have from what I'm told, they have over 30,000 people enter the lottery just to do that event.
That is unbelievable.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so I'm explaining all this to Neil and John, and they were like, well, this sounds great. You want to do it in August? And here we are, like, end of June, beginning of July. And I was like, guys, I need at least a year to plan it. Because at that point, I didn't know the permit process with PennDOT or if I even needed permission from townships or anything like that. It was all kind of Greek to me, if you will. So started figuring it out. And then thankfully, Bob got on board with the Ironworks and said, let's do it here. In this place, I mean, people rave about coming here into the Ironworks for their start and their finish, and then being able to just hang out and listen to live music. It's it's everything that a good gravel race needs to be.
And it is a good fit,
Yeah.
It's awesome. And like I had mentioned, the people that come in, it is so fun to talk to all of them.
Yeah.
They have all these really cool experiences with all these different races they've done all over the place. So
Yeah.
I love bartending that day.
Yeah, I think a lot of your staff tell me the same
Yeah.
thing. I'm guessing you guys are like pulling straws to figure out
Yeah,
who's
pretty much.
who's going to work that
You'll-
day and who isn't.
You also get a lot of vendors that come in too.
Yeah, we try to bring in some industry vendors and then other ones, from around the area. Part of the passion for me is really trying to support, local with the event.
Right.
So, this year, Great Eastern Cutlery was able to get us some really cool knives made with the logo etched on it. We worked with Moosehead Pottery up in Erie to do these really cool growlers and beer mugs.
You showed me
I
those
showed you a
photos.
picture of those.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll send you one to put on the.
Oh, they turned out great.
They are amazing. And then I think is it Pro Threads, Josh Atkins' company. He does all our T-shirts for us and hoodies and everything like that.
Right.
The finished medals are done by All American Awards over in Shippenville. I couldn't find anyone in Titusville, but it's still, it takes a village.
Yeah.
And so it's really everything I can as a promoter I want to do here,
Right.
and pump that money back into our economy.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool, man. And, Saturday, I'm really, really hoping we have some great weather because we have a full day of music for everyone coming back from the race. It starts early, so that should be very fun.
Yeah, the last I looked, Mason, it was, I think, a high of 76, partly
Perfect.
cloudy.
Perfect.
We're supposed to get some rain Wednesday night. And I was out on course today marking some course on the south side down around Oil Creek State Park. Man, they're dusty, those dirt roads right now. So some rain on Wednesday
that'll help.
would be great. I mean, you work on these roads, you know what it's like. It's just a cloud of dust. And so we get that rain on Wednesday, 2 days of sun. That'll knock some of it down. And then last I looked at the 10-day, I didn't see any more rain in the forecast till next Tuesday.
There we go.
That's
It's going to be a beautiful Memorial Day weekend for everyone.
Yep.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with the name of the race? And along with that, how did you come up with the name of the routes?
So when I was naming the race, I don't really have a lot of creativity when it comes to stuff like that. So that was at the time when the Herald was still around. And I spoke with one of the reporters, and they were willing to do an article for me. And I just did a contest. I created a Gmail email account and said, put the article in the paper. We had some pretty amazing submissions.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think we ended up with like 40 submissions to name the event.
That's awesome.
Which was really cool. But the kind of the one that really struck me was the Roughneck Gravel Roubaix. And for those that don't know, a roughneck is an oil field worker. And that's kind of Titusville's rich history.
Right.
So that made a lot of sense. The gravel, since, all our routes are 90% gravel or more, which is pretty abnormal to be that high a percentage. You know?
That's cool.
And then the Roubaix part is France.
Okay.
So Paris-Roubaix, which you heard me mention earlier, that's the hardest one-day race in Europe. They call that the Queen of the Classics. It's in the spring, but instead of gravel, they're on cobblestones.
Oh,
And
wow.
these are like farm field cobblestones, like these big ones. And I've done this event, right? And these cobbles, so there's two big cobble classics. There's Flanders and there's Paris-Roubaix. And Paris-Roubaix starts in Paris and finishes in Roubaix, which is on the border of Belgium, the southern border of Belgium. And the French cobbles are like farm road cobbles. So they're like our, for example, no winter maintenance dirt roads.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're rough. They're on kilter, like I think that day, and I did the 250 kilometer event. I think I had 9 flats that day from catching the edge of a cobble. I spent more time, I feel like, changing flat tires than I did riding my bike. Like
That's crazy.
Whereas in Flanders, that region of Belgium, they drive on those roads every day. And they're a smaller, like 4x4 cobblestone instead of these big 9x12s. So just very different cobbled experiences, But to me, that we had the Roughneck that pulled in our cool oil history, which is amazing. But then we had the Roubaix, which pulled in the cycling history.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the name.
That's perfect.
It just fit. So, but then your other question, Mason, all those routes, right? Like I was struggling with that. And
you've got the Ida Tarbell,
right,
the Standard Oil, the Ironworks, the Colonel Drake, the McClintock, and the McKinney. Which, and I'll tell you, I know that all that's related to Titusville.
Exactly. So. Yeah. So Ida Tarbell, she was an investigative reporter. That's our shortest route. It's 13 miles. They ride down to Petroleum Center, and then they catch the train back. And we've been able to work with, the Oil Creek and Titusville Railroad to make that happen. And that we kind of call that our intro to gravel route, right? Like they go down White City Road. There's some hard hills on there, and it's hard. But it's, they have 2 hours to do 13 miles, and they ride the train back. And I kind of use that as people that want to try it. Or younger, families with kids. It's hard, but it's achievable.
Right.
And then, year one, we only had the 4 routes. So we only had the Ida Tarbell, the Ironworks, the Colonel Drake, and the McClintock. And then we got some feedback after year one. We would love a bridge between that Ida Tarbell 13-mile route and the Ironworks, which is usually about 40 miles. So that Standard Oil route, which for those that don't know is from like the original oil company in the world, that's founded by John D. Rockefeller, right here in Titusville, my understanding. So we added that as like a 20-mile. This year I think it's 23, but it'll always stay under 25 will be the goal of that route. To kind of be that bridge, right? And then the 40-mile is named after this building, the Ironworks, where famously was 1 mile and something to the first.
So it was built 1 year after and 1 mile away from Drakewell.
Right. Yeah. So, which ironically, every direction we go out of town from here, we're a mile or less to the first gravel road. So it still fits, on any of the routes. And then, the next one is the Colonel Drake, who was the man credited with the first modern production oil well.
Yes, sir.
And then the McClintock, we named that at the time because it was the longest route. And that's named after the longest continuously producing oil well, which is in, I guess it's Rouseville, Oil City, right on the border there.
Right.
Yeah. And I bring that route past that well every year for the purpose of them to understand that namesake, and then the McKinney route is new this year, and that thing is a beast. It's 250 miles of pure gravel love.
Unbelievable.
And they'll start, Friday at 1 p.m., and they have 30 hours to finish. So that gives them till 7 p.m.
The next day. Wow.
Yeah.
I was looking at that route on the map, and it can be very confusing.
Yeah, it's the goal was to make it a figure 8. So they do, out towards Pleasantville, Hickory, Tynesta, and then they come back in Dutch Hill, and then they come back through here at the Ironworks, and that's kind of a wellness check. And there's also a 15-hour cutoff time for that. And if they don't make it in 15 hours on the first 125 miles, then we're not going to let them continue because they're not going to make up time at that point, unfortunately. And then the second 125 goes out on this year's routes. In the last 2 years, we've always gone out towards Pleasantville and everything. And this year we're headed north towards, Spartansburg in that direction. So
really cool.
Yeah.
Explain why do you change your routes every year? Like, because I looked at the maps from the previous couple years, and they're all different. You change them every year.
Yeah. So that's not normal at a lot of gravel events. A lot of times they set it and forget it mentality. Like the course is the course year after year after year.
Well, and it probably always changes too, because there's some townships are they'll close the bridge and stuff. Then you have to reroute around that.
Yep.
And,
Yep. And, guys, like in the 4 counties we go in, this year we're in Crawford, Venango, Warren, and Forest.
Yeah.
We have 4,400 miles of gravel roads.
Wow.
In those 4 counties.
I didn't realize that, actually.
There's a lot of backcountry roads, buddy.
Crawford County actually has the second most gravel roads in the state.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think the most is like Susquehanna County or somewhere over in that region. So I feel like it's a disservice to the community, like the gravel community, to not change it because we have all this as our playground, and like why not change it? Let's experience something new every year so it doesn't get stale and boring. And
I'm sure they really appreciate having something different to look at all the time.
Some of the guys that pre-rode already this year, one of the comments was like, wow, it's a lot more open this year. Now, the routes that go out towards Hickory and Pleasantville in that direction, they're a lot closer to the Allegheny National Forest.
Right.
So they're shaded, because they're in national forest that can't be timbered. Whereas when you get out, like we were talking beforehand about McGeetown and Vroman Road and Bethel Church, man, those are farm fields.
Yeah.
So you're baking under that sun, So this year, that's more of the experience at Garmin Unbound.
Yeah.
Because they're just wide open prairie land, right, with very few trees. So, it'll be a different experience this year. I also look for it to be faster this year.
Yeah.
Because there's less elevation gain overall on all the courses.
Okay.
Are you going up Keys Hill this year or going down?
The 250 mile does. Yeah.
I could not believe when you told me that. You're like, yeah, we went up it. I'm like, you went up that with a bike?
Yeah, man.
We used to sled ride that hill when we were kids because there's no winter maintenance.
Yeah.
And it's impressive.
I remember as a kid, like that when we were getting our driver's license, like that was like the badge of courage to be able to drive that road in the dead of winter. and get either up or down it.
Yeah.
Because it is treacherous and it is steep and it is hard.
Yeah.
So, but it is a fun road to ride, both up and down, I think.
So that 250 mile, what do you think, or how fast do you think the quickest people will get that done?
So, I'm thinking we're probably going to see the leader come in probably around 21 hours. Maybe 22 is my guess right now. Now, unfortunately, the one kid that I thought was going to be that guy, he had a crash Sunday and broke his collarbone. And John West is his name. He is wicked fast. The kid, I think last year he rode 21,000 miles.
Oh, my gosh.
So, he drives more than most people drive.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't even drive my car that far.
Right, it's insane. So, but it's not a bad break, so he hasn't confirmed if he's still going to try to race or not. So, but I'd hate for something to happen and then break it worse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, can you go over the weekend's event schedule a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Friday, as we've kind of said a couple times, the McKinney route, that 250, it starts at 1 o'clock. So, we'll open registration for them from 11 to about 12:45. Then, I talked to Chief, I can never say his last name right. Dustin is his name.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The commish. That's what I've started calling him since he's now the commissioner. He's just the commish. I hope it sticks.
It's a good name. I like
it. It is. Yeah. So, the Titusville police are good enough for all the routes to give us a police escort till we hit the gravel.
Awesome.
Which is, safety is a huge priority for me. But that'll roll out at 1. And then we'll kind of shut down for a couple hours. And then I think you guys open at 5, right?
Yeah, on Friday.
Yeah. So that's when we'll open regular registration.
Cool.
And then that's open until you guys basically close.
Sweet.
And then Saturday morning we'll reopen registration, which I got to talk to you about so I can get in. But the plan is to open it at 7.
Yep. I think that's all. It's already on my book.
Perfect. So. Good. And then the 100-mile route goes off at 8:30.
Mhm.
The current that's called the McClintock route. Then the
Yep.
Colonel Drake, which is it's actually supposed to be a metric century, is what it's called. So 100 km
Yeah.
instead of 100 miles. It confuses all of us here in America.
Yeah.
But that goes off at 9:30,
Okay.
and then the Ironworks, the 40 goes off at 10.
Mhm.
Then Standard Oil goes at 10:30, and then the Ida Tarbell goes at 11
Okay.
to try. And then the goal is for them to be at the train by 1 down at Petroleum Center.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be great. We'll
It
start.
is- yeah, and then we should, I'm predicting we start seeing finishers around 11.
Awesome.
Or maybe 12, and I think our first finishers we're going to see are going to be the 250.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then everyone actually, so that's one thing, everyone finishes out on Finney Hill this year.
Yeah.
And then they just come back into town.
Okay.
So, but we'll have live results down here up on one of the screens, and people can look at it, and it'll be
That's gonna
easy.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it'll be cool. So, yeah.
And I'll have some Bloody Mary stuff ready, waiting for
Perfect.
everyone.
Yeah. Not me. I'll be too busy all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is going to be a great weekend of events, and it's amazing how this community has supported this.
Yeah, that's the community support from day one in the concept has just been unprecedented. I talked to a lot of other race promoters, and some of them they really struggle with that. And there's been some real good events that have had to be canceled because of that. But we're lucky. I think the community looks forward to it. It's interesting, the first 2 years, and I'm sure this year is going to be no different. We get driveway coolers. So we have aid stations out on course, right? Where
Yeah.
people can stop and fill their bottles and, grab some Swedish fish or whatever they want. But then I'm hearing from these riders like, yeah, man, you had 4 aid stations, but there was like 30 aid stations because of all the driveway coolers that just said free water and Gatorade, help yourself,
That's
And,
so
amazing.
like you can't force that.
No.
That's just the community embracing an event. Last year I heard a story from somebody local. I don't remember who it was, but he was telling me he was at this party.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I gathered, it was a graduation party or something, which would make sense with the time of year because we're close to that. And he's talking to this grandmother, and she asked him, she said, "What time is it?" And he said, "Oh, it's like 8 o'clock." She said, "Oh, I got to get home." And he looked at her. He was like, "Well, where do you have to be?" And she said, "Bike race is coming past my house. I got to bake fresh cookies for those kids."
Oh, my.
Like, and you can't force that. That's organic. That's the community saying, you know what, we want this. We believe in the tourism it's bringing to our city. We enjoy the people, and that's really cool.
And speaking of tourism, can you go into a little bit about how ecotourism could help Titusville?
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. So ecotourism is people like me, or that go ride their bike, or come here to run on the the OC 100 trails, or like this past weekend we had the 5 and 13 here in town that had, I believe, 150 runners or something
just
like
over that.
Yeah, so and these are endurance events that are bringing people to these communities. But what's interesting is Saturday, I roll into town from Ohio, and I'm coming down the hill here on Route 8, and I look in the parking lot and I see 8 bikes on the back of cars. And I was like, well, I got to stop in the Ironworks and see who this is. So these were people from Erie, Pittsburgh, and I believe the one guy was from Youngstown.
Okay.
That they were gravel cyclists, that they all met at another event, and they came here just to preview one of the courses.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then they're here supporting our restaurants, supporting our bars. They're sitting here. I mean, I think they were on their 3rd round by the time I saw them. So,
That's cool.
But that's what we want. And that's, for me, guys, that's the biggest reward.
Yeah.
Like, event day is one thing, and you're going to get people here for the event. But it's the people that keep coming back
Yep.
because the riding here is just something special.
Yeah.
We're really lucky. And Danny and I have talked about this on the podcast before. Sometimes it's easy to forget living here how nice it really is. But when you travel away, it's the first thing I miss. Being here and out in the country, out in the open. We're so lucky to have that bike trail.
Yeah.
We
were ahead of our
here.
time with that.
Yeah.
I mean, other parts of the country are trying to put in rail trails now, and they can't get the funding. And we've had that thing as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah.
So we got so much beauty here with the state parks, and you get to see all 4 seasons. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
I tell people, like, come in October and see the fall foliage. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And
that's why we added that, the rock oil fall foliage, or the foliage frenzy, we called it.
Yeah.
Which we're trying to figure out which date to bring that back in October this year.
I can't wait.
Yeah, but that's, again, and that one's not even a race. We ran that last year as a poker run where, there were 2 routes. In the short route, they get 5 cards. When they get back, they played 5-card stud with their hands. And the long route was 7 cards, and they played 5-card draw, or 7-card draw rather. So it was just a creative way. I've talked to a few promoters that they're like, let's keep gravel weird.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my way of saying, I'm going to keep this weird. And the other problem with bike racers, man, if you give them a number, whether there's a timing system or not, it's a race.
Yeah.
Like they're just competitive to the core, right? And so I knew if I gave them a number, they were going to race and be like, where's the podium? So I didn't even give out numbers. I was like, no, this is supposed to just be a chill, come ride with your friends, and everyone loved it. Good. So I'm looking forward to bringing that one back this fall.
Me too, man. Yeah. It's exciting, and I am just so happy to see how the whole event has grown.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. I'm loving seeing the support. And like I said, it is one of our favorite days of the year down here. Literally, I was like, I don't need as many people working as people want to work. So,
that's cool. That's good to hear.
Yeah. So it's awesome. Yeah. So is there anywhere, do you want to give a shout out to like a website, your Facebook?
Yeah.
Stuff like that?
I mean, you can find us on Facebook, Roughneck Gravel Roubaix, Instagram, Roughneck Gravel Roubaix. And then originally our website was roughneckgravelroubaix.com. But as we added a second event, we changed that to oilvalleyendurance.com. So, you can find all the details, all the routes, everything on that site. And then once you have the last 2 years' results on that site now, this year, when you go on that site Saturday morning, the results will be front and center. So you can start clicking them and checking them, and,
it's a great website. Yeah. It shows you the maps of all the routes, and it's
Yeah, my brother-in-law does that. He started his own, like he was in web. I don't even know what all he did.
Yeah.
But web design, and he started this company called S-Beam, and he does, web design for several people now. And
cool.
He does a great job with it. And I, again, kind of like naming the race, I don't have that skill set. So I was happy to have someone, that could help me with that and get it up and running and cohesive and not have weird text errors. And then to be like, then there's a whole nother side of that. Like if you want it to be on mobile versus a desktop, it's different.
Yeah.
And you got to format it differently. So get a hold of him.
Save me from having to do ours.
Right?
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, definitely, if you're around Saturday or Friday and you want to see all the racers take off, it's a lot of fun to watch that starting here at the Ironworks. So you can come sit inside and enjoy the start of the race. It's going to be a fun day, full day of music. And Adam, I just want to say thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to come and sit and chat with us.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure.
On.
I do have one request to anybody local that listens with this. We've already been out marking course. Please, we ask everyone to download the routes and make sure, but please don't take down any of the signs. We'll go out and get those down. We have people following the race starting to take them down Saturday, and we'll go out and get the rest down on Sunday. And if for some reason you see any left up that we missed, we're human, we make mistakes, we make errors, please just contact me. You can go to my website, my Facebook, or Instagram, send me an email, send me a message.
Yeah.
And I'll get out there and get it down, as quick as I can, or send my father-in-law or someone to grab it. We try to get them all because we reuse them from year to year. We're not throwing them away, and but I do know we've missed some from time to time, and just get a hold of us and we'll come grab it.
Perfect.
So, or if you grab it and drop it here, I'm sure Mason will give it to me.
Yeah.
So
I will do that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Adam, thank you, man.
Thank you,
so
guys.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm
Come
looking
on.
forward to the weekend. It's just right now is all the hard work.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you Friday.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. And again, you can check out all of our events, as always, on our Facebook page, on our website, TitusvilleIronworks.com. We hope to see you this weekend.